Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our fireside chat on the journey of TELUS and AWS Smart Home. My name is Mo. I'm the Global Technology Lead of AWS Telecom, and I've been privileged to serve as the technical lead for this amazing project. Today with me, I have the visionary lead of this project, CPO of TELUS, Dwayne Benefield, and also Robin Harwani, the Global Head of Telecom Industry at AWS, two pivotal figures that make this project a reality. Welcome.
Thank you, Mo.
So today we are going to dive deep in the collaboration between TELUS and AWS, and we are going to tackle on the strategic visions and the technical advancement and also the exciting possibilities we have ahead. So let's start with Dwayne. Hi, Dwayne. So can you please tell us a little bit about your vision and how AWS helped with this vision?
Of course. So when I joined TELUS just over 3 years ago, we already had a very fast-growing smart home security business, really focused on that 24/7 monitored security with some automation elements. But as an early adopter of the connected home myself, I already at that time had dozens of apps on my phone to manage what was dozens of devices, now in the hundreds in my home, and it's not a scalable solution. My parents certainly wouldn't use multiple apps to kind of manage blinds and lights and sprinklers, etc. So for me the vision was to kind of disrupt the space, to really try to create the world's first device-agnostic smart home platform. So nothing existed like this, but knowing we probably needed hyperscaler support, given this is a global challenge. This is not a Canadian issue, not a North American issue. It's a global issue because you really can't buy an electronic for your home right now that doesn't come with an app and a login and username and often a hub. And so I'm like, okay, we need a global partner here. So having worked with Amazon in the past, in my past couple career journeys, I knew that they might be able to solve it. So I went to AWS and provided that vision, like let's build a global device-agnostic platform that breaks down the walled gardens and really provides an answer to consumers that are looking for a single pane of glass or a single voice assistant to manage their entire connected home. So with that, that journey began, and with it, you obviously built a couple new cloud services to help us kind of realize this vision, and we invested some time and effort in the middleware, and we now have a platform that is up and running.
Amazing. It has been a great journey so far. So Robin, can you please tell us a bit more about those technologies that you enable TELUS with to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think first of all, when we started engaging with TELUS, TELUS had a profound vision in terms of the problem to solve. And for Amazon, it's always working backwards from the customer. There we found that if we could address the problem of fragmentation of device ecosystems, we could also address the aspects of convenience together with TELUS, and things like providing value on top of the platform that would exist. What we did is very quickly started iterating, building capabilities on top of our IoT services to provide ubiquitous control as well as zero touch. And Mo, as you know, you've been the founding principle in this technology. It required a completely different approach from how the market has been operating in this space. The market is very much fragmented. Different walled gardens, as Dwayne calls them, allow for you to perform functions within those gardens, but as soon as it requires interoperability across different device ecosystem, that becomes a huge problem, let alone realizing value and realizing simplicity. So that was the focus. And there, I think the zero-touch solutions, the ubiquitous control capability became very essential for the customers. The second part of the approach in terms of solving the technology challenge was also to make this platform not just a platform that TELUS could use, but also to make this a solution that could be adopted by operators together with TELUS. And that's been the important tenet as we embarked on the journey. So those were the two domains, if you think about it, that helped us to steer in the direction that we are.
And just to top up, it's important that this was not something that we wanted to solve just for TELUS and just in Canada, right? The vision was to solve this for the world. which is why we built this as a SaaS solution out of the box, effectively becoming the operating system of the home, leveraging AWS cloud services. So something that we built as a SaaS solution and something we're looking to actually deploy through our partnerships worldwide.
Amazing. And 1 year forward, now you are in employee market trial, isn't it, Dwayne? So what did you learn from that, and what would be the wider what would be your plan for your wider adoptions?
Yeah, first of all, I think I've built a few innovative products in my life, disruptive, and this one we actually built on time and on schedule. Thanks again to a lot of the partnership. But to your point, we're now in employee market trial with 2 of our SKUs that again we built off the platform. One focused on kind of the camera and the video, growth and people wanting, doorbell cameras or just outdoor cameras, and then one focused on energy. And the energy one is really about finally giving visibility to consumers to what is actually driving their, electric or gas bills in their home, and helping them figure out how to, save money, how to optimize that usage, how to, not just save money, but help save the planet. And so what we're finding is that, particularly on the onboarding is really important, right? Because to get the most out of the innovation that we built into the platform and the app, you really have to make sure that the user is onboarded in a way that they, have the devices and have the setup that is necessary to really optimize the service. We find that it's also really key that they understand the benefits up front. So it's not, oh yeah, I want to have an energy management service. No, here's what you really can get out of it, and because it really does encourage the engagement into the service to help and get more out of it. So, along with the way they use the app, what are the key features? What are the screens? What are the flows that they like to use as they truly get into it are important for us to iterate on to make sure we optimize the overall experience.
Amazing. And Robin, back to you. What is next? How AWS can help with its expanded services and also the emerging technology that we're facing today, like GenAI, how these can actually help evolving this journey with TELUS on a smart home?
I think there is many things that come to mind, but again, kind of going back to that customer experience and the unique right to play the operators globally have with that home router. The home router allows for operators to create so many different experiences on top of the capabilities that we have developed. When I look at it, right here in 2024 MWC, we have Wi-Fi sensing integration into the home that allows for a identity association beyond just knowing movement of bodies in the home. Identity association based on a user opt-in in a secure manner. It sets apart the capability and unlocks value for elder care, for child care, child safety in a whole different dimension that was not possible before. Imagine going to your living room and setting up the environment very quickly with voice or your application and having the right setup for your movie night. Having the ability to ask questions to the platform and get an experience of more than just a voice assistant, having the ability to have personalized experience in the home, which was not possible before. Asking questions about the entertainment experiences, gaming experiences that can be available, and then bundles like the one that TELUS has recently launched for entertainment with Disney, with Netflix, and with Amazon Prime. All of these things become part of the incremental value. So that home router almost is a platform that keeps where TELUS and the CSPs can keep enabling more and more incremental solutions on an ongoing basis.
Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Dwayne. It was fascinating. And
Thank
you very much for being with us during this fascinating talk.